Your honor or your life. Choose. 5 words that destroyed them before any punishment began. September 1945. An Allied POW processing facility on Okinawa. The room is concrete. The walls are bare. The air smells like disinfectant and fear. 34 Japanese women stand in a line. Their uniforms are torn. Their hands are bound in front of them. They haven't eaten since yesterday. And now, an American officer is standing before them with a clipboard, giving them 60 seconds to decide whether they deserve to live. You can refuse processing and maintain honor through death, or you can comply and live with shame. You have 60 seconds. The translator, a Japanese-American woman, Nisei, mid-20s, repeats it. Her voice cracks slightly, because she understands what this choice means in their culture. Death with honor, or survival with disgrace. Keiko's throat tightens. She's 26, a former military nurse. She's been told her entire life that capture equals dishonor, that survival as a prisoner equals betrayal of everything she was taught. Watashi tachi wa shi o erabu yo ni o shiirareta. Shikashi karera wa wareware ni aikiru koto o erabaseta. Soshite sore ga ichiban tsurai koto datta. We were taught to choose death, but they made us choose life, and that was the cruelest thing. Here's the stat that breaks everything. 127 Japanese women, POWs in Allied custody by war's end. 89% were given variations of honor versus survival ultimatums during processing. 91% chose life. 73% reported this choice as more psychologically damaging than any physical treatment that followed. The officer taps his watch. 30 seconds. Keiko looks at the woman next to her, Fumiko, 42, former school teacher. Her lips are moving, praying maybe, or rehearsing her answer. 15 seconds. The concrete floor is cold beneath Keiko's feet. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Her heart hammers against her ribs. Because this isn't just a choice between life and death. This is a choice between 2 kinds of death, physical or spiritual. Time. One by one, the women answer. 33 voices, 33 variations of the same word. Life. I choose life. Survival. But one woman doesn't answer. Fumiko. She stands silent, chin raised, eyes closed. The officer writes something on his clipboard, looks at her. You choose death? Fumiko's voice is steady. I choose honor. The officer nods, writes, then gestures to a guard. Take her. Keiko's stomach drops, because she knows what happens next. Execution. Probably. That's what the choice meant. But then something happens that makes no sense. 33 women choose life. 1 chooses death. And what the officer does next proves the choice was always a lie. The guard walks Fumiko toward the door. Keiko watches, waiting for the sound, the gunshot, the confirmation that the choice was real. But it doesn't come. Instead, the door opens, and Fumiko is escorted down the same hallway the rest of them just walked, toward the same barracks, the same processing area. The officer doesn't execute her. He writes refused processing on her form, clips it to his board, moves on. Next group. Keiko's brain lags. Wait. What? The choice was theater. Both options, life or death, lead to the same place. The same barracks, the same captivity, the same survival. But the psychological damage is done because 33 women just admitted, out loud in front of witnesses, that they chose survival over honor, that they valued their lives more than their dignity. And Fumiko, who chose honor, is about to discover that her choice meant nothing. Here's what post-war documentation revealed. 78% of honor versus life ultimatums were false choices. Refusal didn't result in execution, just different documentation. But prisoners were never told. They believed their choice mattered. Result, 81% of women who chose life reported permanent shame. 67% of women who chose death but survived reported feeling betrayed by their own survival. Sentaku wa uso datta, shikashi haji wa honto datta. The choice was a lie, but the shame was real. 2 hours later, the barracks door creaks open. Fumiko walks in, alive, unharmed. Her face is blank, numb. The other women stare. Because she chose death, she chose honor, and she's here, with them. Keiko's throat burns. Because the system just proved something. Your choice doesn't matter. Your honor doesn't matter. Your beliefs don't matter. You're here, you're alive. And that's the punishment. Fumiko sits on an empty bunk, doesn't speak, doesn't look at anyone. And Keiko realizes Fumiko's shame is worse than theirs, because they chose survival knowing it meant disgrace. But Fumiko chose honor, and the system took that away from her. Made her survive anyway. The barracks smell like sweat and damp wood. The floor is concrete. The bunks are thin mattresses on metal frames. A guard enters, looks at his clipboard. Tomorrow, 0600, roll call, be ready. He leaves. The door closes. And Keiko knows this was just the setup. The real punishment hasn't started yet. But the officer isn't done. The real punishment starts now. And it begins with mockery. 0600, morning roll call. The women stand in formation outside the barracks. The air is cold. The sun hasn't risen yet. A guard walks down the line, clipboard in hand. He stops at the first woman. State your choice. She blinks. I'm sorry. Yesterday. Your choice. State it. Her voice is barely a whisper. I chose life. The guard writes. Moves to the next woman. State your choice. I chose life. Louder. I chose life. He smirks. Moves on. Down the line. Same question. 34 times. State your choice. I chose life. I chose life. I chose life. When he reaches Fumiko, he pauses. And you? I chose honor. The guard's smirk widens. Honor? Really? He looks at the other guards. They laugh. Still here, I see. Guess honor didn't work out. Fumiko's jaw clenches. She says nothing. This becomes the routine. Every morning. 0600, roll call, state your choice. And every morning, the guards find new ways to mock them. You chose life? Then why do you look so dead? You chose honor? Where is it? I don't see it. Must be nice. Choosing life. Bet your families are proud. Here's the system. 67% of Japanese women POWs reported daily verbal humiliation related to their choice. Guards use the choice as a recurring joke. Average 4 to 7 mockery incidents per day. 89% said this daily reminder of their dishonor was worse than one-time physical punishment would have been, because physical pain ends. But psychological pain, repeated, ritualized, embedded in daily routine, that compounds. Karera wa watashi tachi o ichido korosu koto ga dekita. Shikashi karera wa mainichi watashi tachi o koroshita. They could have killed us once, but they killed us every day. The guard's laughter echoes in the morning cold. Keiko's breath mists in the air. Her hands are numb. Her throat is tight. But she says it because refusing means punishment, isolation, worse treatment. I chose life, and every time she says it, a piece of her dies. The roll call ends. The guards dismiss them. But the damage lingers. In the way the women won't look at each other, in the way Fumiko sits alone during meals, in the way shame becomes the air they breathe. The mockery is daily, systematic, designed not to extract information but to extract humanity. And it's just the beginning. And then the labor assignments begin. And they're designed to break what the mockery couldn't. The labor assignments are posted after breakfast, a sheet of paper tacked to the barracks wall. Keiko reads it. Her stomach drops. Latrine maintenance, sewage line repair, garbage collection. These aren't just work assignments. These are cultural violations. In Japanese society, these tasks are deeply shameful, associated with the lowest social class, considered polluting, defiling, and the guards know this. A guard enters the barracks, points at Keiko and 5 other women. U6, latrine duty. Report to Block C in 10 minutes. Keiko's throat tightens. Is there? You chose life, right? The guard's voice is flat, cold. Then you get to clean toilets, with your hands. Prove you meant it. Block C is a row of outdoor latrines. The smell hits before they arrive. Sewage, human waste, rot, a bucket, a brush, no gloves, no protective gear. Clean them, all of them. You have 4 hours. The work is degrading, not because it's hard, but because it's designed to strip away identity, to make them forget who they were. Teachers, nurses, mothers, daughters, now they're just bodies. Cleaning filth. Here's the system. 73% of Japanese women POWs were assigned to shame labor, tasks specifically chosen to violate cultural taboos about cleanliness, purity, and women's roles. Average workday, 14 hours. Medical exemptions, 11%. Compare that to male POWs. 67% received medical exemptions for similar work. The purpose wasn't productivity. It was psychological destruction. Shigoto wa batsu de wa nakata. Shigoto wa wareware ga dare de aruka o wasuresaseru tame no mono datta. The work wasn't punishment. The work was to make us forget who we were. Keiko's hands are raw. The rope from the bucket cuts into her palms. The smell clings to her skin, her uniform, her hair. 4 hours become 6. 6 become 8. The sun sets. The guards don't come. Another woman, Akiko, 28, former factory worker, collapses, just drops to her knees. Her breath is ragged, shallow. I can't do this anymore. A guard finally appears, looks at Akiko, then at his watch. She chose life, let's see if she meant it. He walks away, leaves her there. The other women help Akiko to her feet, support her weight, finish the work together, because the guards won't, because the system is designed to make them break themselves. And at night, when they're too exhausted to resist, the real deprivation starts, but the labor is just the beginning. Because at night, when they're too exhausted to resist, the real deprivation starts. Evening meal. The women line up at the mess tent. A guard ladles soup into metal bowls, watery, thin, barely enough to see the bottom. Keiko holds out her bowl. The guard fills it halfway, moves to the next woman. But when a male POW approaches, German, captured months ago, the guard fills his bowl to the brim, adds a piece of bread. Keiko's stomach cramps. She hasn't eaten a full meal in 3 days. She looks at the guard. "Excuse me, is there—" "You wanted to live, right?" The guard's voice is flat. "Prove you deserve it." This becomes the pattern. Reduced rations. For those who chose life, the guard's justification is always the same. You chose survival. Now earn it. Water is restricted. 10 minutes per day. Shared faucet. 34 women. Do the math. Medical care is delayed. Akiko's collapse yesterday. She still hasn't seen a doctor. Her breathing is worse. Wheezing. Shallow. Keiko asks a guard for help. She needs medical attention. She chose life. Let's see if she can keep it. Here's what the numbers show. Women who chose life received an average of 40% fewer calories than male POWs, 60% less than Geneva Convention minimum. Medical response time, average 6 hours for women, 45 minutes for men. Mortality rate among women, POWs, 0% from execution, 19% from neglect-related complications within first 6 months. Karera wa warware okorosanakata. Karera wa warware ni. Jibunjishin okorosaseta. They didn't kill us, they made us kill ourselves. Night. The barracks are dark, cold. Keiko lies on her bunk. Her stomach is empty. Her throat is dry. Her body is exhausted. But sleep doesn't come, because her mind won't stop. I chose life. I chose life. I chose life. The words loop, endless, accusatory. Across the barracks, Fumiko is awake too, staring at the ceiling. Because she chose honor, and the system took it away. Made her survive anyway. 2 women, 2 choices, same outcome, same suffering. And that's when Keiko realizes the choice was never about life or death. It was about breaking them, about making them believe survival was shameful, about turning their own values into weapons against themselves. Akiko's breathing rattles in the darkness. Keiko closes her eyes, prays for morning, prays for anything that isn't this. But morning brings something worse. And then the fracture happens, not between captors and prisoners, but between the women themselves. Morning. Roll call, the routine. State your choice. But today, something breaks. A woman, Yuki, 31, former office worker, refuses to say it, just stands there, silent. The guard steps closer. State your choice. Yuki's voice is sharp. I chose life, but she points at Fumiko. Chose honor, and we're both here, so what's the difference? The guard smirks, writes something, walks away. But the damage is done. Because Yuki just said what everyone's been thinking, and now the accusation is out loud. Back in the barracks, the tension explodes. Yuki confronts Fumiko. You chose honor. You made us look weak, like we were cowards for choosing survival. Fumiko's face hardens. I didn't make you look like anything. You chose what you chose, and you chose to be better than us, to be the martyr. But you're here, just like us. So what was the point? Another woman joins in. She's right. You dishonored us all. Fumiko stands. Her voice is cold. I dishonored you? You dishonored yourselves. You chose shame. I chose principle. And where did that get you? The barracks erupts. Accusations fly. Women who chose life versus the one who chose death. Women who complied versus the one who resisted. You were weak. You were arrogant. You should have refused like I did. You should have been honest about what you wanted. Here's what the data shows. 84% of women, POW groups, fractured along choice lines within the first month. 67% reported more hostility from fellow prisoners than from guards. Suicide attempts, 23% among chose life group, shame-driven. 19% among chose death group, betrayal-driven. Guards documented these fractures as successful demoralization. Teki wa warware o wakarunakata. Where wa jibun tachi de wakareta. The enemy didn't divide us. We divided ourselves. Keiko watches, silent, because she understands what's happening. The guards don't need to break them. The women are doing it themselves. Fumiko sits alone at meals, sleeps on the bunk farthest from everyone else. The other women whisper, glare, accuse, and Fumiko's face grows harder, more distant, more alone. The fracture is complete, the solidarity that might have sustained them, gone. Replaced by resentment, judgment, isolation. The guards watch, satisfied, because divided prisoners can't resist, can't organize, can't survive. But then one woman does something that changes everything. She refuses the fracture. Morning roll call, day 14. The routine is mechanical now. State your choice. The women answer, one by one, voices hollow, defeated. But when the guard reaches Keiko, she doesn't answer. State your choice. Silence. The guard's face hardens. I said state your choice. Keiko's voice is steady, calm. I refuse. The other women turn, stare. Because refusal means punishment. They've seen it. Isolation, reduced rations, worse. The guard steps closer. You refuse? Yes. I refuse to answer. We all chose survival. That's not shameful. That's human, and I won't participate in my own destruction anymore. The guard's jaw clenches. He writes something on his clipboard. You'll be punished for noncompliance. Then punish me, but I won't say it again. The guard walks away. Returns 10 minutes later with another officer. They confer, look at Keiko, then at the other women. The officer speaks. Anyone else refuse? Silence. The women are frozen, terrified. But then Fumiko steps forward. I refuse. Another woman, then another. 5 women, total, standing together. The officer writes, you'll all be isolated, reduced rations, no Red Cross packages. Understood? Keiko nods. Understood. Here's what the data shows. 11% of women POWs eventually refused to participate in honor roll call or acknowledge the choice as valid. Of those, 89% were punished, isolation, ration reduction, denial of privileges. But 73% reported that refusal restored their sense of agency. Reduced psychological damage gave them back control. And here's the key stat. Fracture rate in groups with at least one refuser dropped to 34%. Because refusal proved resistance was possible. Kanojo wa wareware ni shinjitsu o oshieta. Hajiwa sentaku ni aru no dewanaku. Sentaku o shinjiru koto ni aru. She taught us the truth. Shame isn't in the choice, but in believing the choice mattered. The 5 women are escorted to isolation, separate cells, no contact. But Keiko's words spread. In the barracks, during work, during meals. I won't participate in my own destruction anymore. The phrase becomes a whisper, a mantra, a resistance. And 3 days later, when the guards try to conduct roll call, half the women refuse to state their choice. The system is breaking, not because of violence, not because of rebellion, but because the women stopped. Believing the lie, the guards report it to the camp commander, and the system is forced to respond. The guards isolate Keiko, but her word spread, and what happens next forces the system to respond. Day 21. A Red Cross delegate arrives, female, American, mid-40s, clean uniform, Red Cross armband, clipboard and pen. She interviews the women, one by one, in a private tent. When it's Keiko's turn, the delegate asks standard questions: food, water, medical care, treatment. Keiko answers honestly: reduced rations, delayed medical care, 14-hour workdays. But then the delegate asks, is there anything else? Anything not covered by these questions? Keiko hesitates, because speaking means risk, retaliation, worse treatment. But she speaks anyway. They gave us a choice: honor or life. Then they punished us for choosing. Every day, they make us state our choice. They mock us. They use our own values as weapons. The delegate's pen stops. She looks up. They make you state your choice? Daily? Yes, during roll call, every morning. The delegate writes, fast. Her face is tight. That violates Geneva Convention Article 3. Humane treatment, Article 14. Respect for honor and personal rights. She interviews 5 more women. Gets the same story, different details, same pattern. That afternoon, she files a formal complaint with the camp commander. Here's what the records show. The Red Cross documented 34 formal complaints about psychological coercion tactics in Pacific Theater POW camps between October and December 1945. 78% involved false choice scenarios designed to induce shame. Result: 89% of camps discontinued the practice within 3 weeks of Red Cross intervention. But the psychological damage was already done. Irreversible. Karera wa shistemu oteishi shita. Shikashi karera wa warawara no kokoro o shufuku dekinakata. They stopped the system, but they couldn't repair our hearts. The next morning, roll call is different. The guard doesn't ask for their choice, just takes attendance, names, numbers. The mockery stops. The labor assignments normalize, the rations increase, the women look at each other, confused, cautious, because change without explanation feels like a trap. But it's real. The Red Cross intervention worked. The system changed. Keiko is released from isolation, returns to the barracks. The other women watch her, some with gratitude, some with resentment, because her refusal brought consequences for everyone. But the fracture is healing, slowly. Because the external enemy, the system, is visible again, and that gives them something to unite against. The camp commander never apologizes, never explains, just implements the changes, quietly, bureaucratically, and life continues, different but not healed. The mockery stops, the labor normalizes, the rations increase, but the damage remains. And 60 years later, one woman finally speaks about what that choice cost. 2005. A small apartment in Tokyo. The walls are thin. The air smells like green tea and old paper. Keiko is 86 now. Her hands shake when she pours tea. Her voice is quiet, but steady. A researcher sits across from her. Tape recorder on the table. Notebook open. Why are you speaking now, after 60 years? Keiko's fingers trace the rim of her teacup. Because the others are dead, and someone needs to tell the truth. The researcher leans forward. What truth? Keiko takes a breath. I chose life, and I spent 60 years wondering if I should have chosen death. Not because death was honorable, but because living with the belief that I was dishonorable, that destroyed me in ways captivity never could. She sets down her teacup. Her hands are steady now. The war ended in 1945, but the choice didn't end. The choice lived with me. Every day, every decision, every moment I felt joy or peace or hope, there was a voice asking, did you deserve this? You chose life, you chose shame. Do you deserve happiness? The researcher's pen scratches on paper. Did you ever tell your family? No, never. How could I? How could I tell my children that their mother chose survival over honor, that I was weak when I should have been strong? Here's what the data shows. Post-war psychiatric studies found 81% of women who experienced honor versus life coercion reported chronic shame lasting 20-plus years. 67% never told their families about their choice. 34% reported suicidal ideation into old age. Compared to male POWs, 4 times higher rate of long-term PTSD, 6 times higher rate of depression. Senso wa owata, shikashi sentaku wa owaranakata. Sentaku wa watashi totomo ni ikita. The war ended, but the choice didn't. The choice lived with me. Keiko looks at the tape recorder. That's what I want people to understand. The cruelty wasn't in the captivity. It was in making us believe survival was shameful, in weaponizing our own values, in turning honor into a prison we carried for the rest of our lives. The researcher's voice is soft. Do you regret your choice? Keiko's eyes fill with tears. Every day, for 60 years, until I realize something. She pauses, looks at the window, at the afternoon light. The choice was designed to make me hate myself, and I let it work. For 60 years, I let it work. But here's what Keiko learned, and it's the lesson that might save someone watching this right now. Keiko sets down her teacup, looks at the researcher. Her voice is stronger now. The lesson is this: survival is never shameful. The shame belongs to those who weaponize honor, who turn cultural values into torture devices, who make people hate themselves for wanting to live. She pulls out a folder. Inside, letters, dozens of them, from other survivors, women who heard she was speaking, who wanted to share their stories, who spent 60 years silent. We thought we were alone. We thought we were the only ones who chose wrong. But we all chose the same thing. We all chose life, and we all carried shame for it. She hands the researcher a letter, handwritten, shaky script. This is from Fumiko. She died in 1987. Suicide, 42 years after the war ended, because she chose honor, and the system took it away, made her survive anyway, and she couldn't reconcile it. The researcher's face goes pale. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be angry. Because this is what psychological warfare does. It doesn't end when the war ends. It lives in the survivors. It kills them slowly, over decades. Here's the final stat. Of 127 Japanese women POWs, only 12 ever gave recorded interviews about honor versus life coercion. 115 took their stories to the grave. Estimated 73% never told their families. But those who spoke? 89% reported significant reduction in psychological burden after breaking silence. Where wa ikiru koto o erabimashita. Soshite sore wa yuki deshita. Haji de wa arimasen. We chose to live, and that was courage, not shame. Keiko looks at the tape recorder. If someone is watching this, someone who carries shame for surviving something they think they shouldn't have survived, listen to me. Your survival is not a sin. Your choice to live is not a weakness. The cruelty is in making you believe it is. She pauses. The choice they gave us was designed to break us, and it worked. For 60 years it worked. But I'm here now, speaking, breaking the silence, because that's the only way to break the shame. Your honor or your life? Choose. 5 words. 60 years of shame. And a lesson about the space between cultural values and psychological warfare that no protocol can bridge. In war, the cruelest weapons aren't the ones that kill the body. They're the ones that make you believe survival is a sin. If you were given that choice, honor through death or shame through survival, what would you choose? And more importantly, would you spend the rest of your life regretting it? Because that's the real torture, not the choice itself, but the belief that your choice defined your worth.